Corinthians, the epistle of Paul the apostle to the Corinthians. And we're looking at chapter 5 from verse 1 through to verse 13. Let's start from verse 1. It says, it's commonly reported that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. Looking at the chapter from the perspective of the church, God's church, glorious church, gracious church, and a godly church. And the Lord wants us to have the vision of what the church ought to be, and what every believer in the church ought to be. If every believer in the church is godly, the church will be godly. If every believer in the church is saved and sanctified, the church will be a saved church, a sanctified church. If every believer in the church is of God, in heart, in mind, in life, in perspective, in understanding, in revelation, and the experiences of the grace of God, of the goodness of God in our lives, if every believer is like that, then the whole church will be like that. We know the Lord is coming back, and he's coming back for a glorious church. And if the Lord is going to meet us as a glorious church, then you ought to make up your mind. I ought to make up my mind. I'll be part of that glorious church. But if anyone is a spot, if anyone is a blemish in the church, will not have a glorious church. That's why as you look at this chapter tonight, you're saying, what else can I do? What more